Hello, I'm FKX and welcome back to an episode of the Minecraft Bedrock Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the weekly update as to what's been going on, both in my survival world, as of course in life, the universe, and everything else in between. And in today's video, I actually wanted to work on something brand new, one of the ideas that just came to mind, because when you can't play Minecraft for a while, as I mentioned, I haven't really played much Minecraft in the last 2 weeks. It's sad, you know, it seems weird, but for me that is a long time. And as a result of that, one of the ideas that came to mind is I really want to do something that seems really quite stupid, and I want to start draining the Nether at least a little bit. I want to see how much progress I can make before I decide that I get bored of this one, because here's the deal. I recognize a lot of projects go unfinished for a while. This is one that I know is beyond the realm of my possibility to finish, but I want to see how much of a dent I can make before that happens. Maybe it's weird to go into a project knowing that that's going to be the case, but anyway, the reason I'm taking you to the laggy part of my world where frame rates go to 10 frames a second is because I also realized this would be a good opportunity to do something else, because there's two things you can do with drained lava. You can store it in a chest, sure, technically speaking, but when you do so, what you actually end up doing is you waste a lot of iron because all those buckets sit dormant. You can also, you know, like, I guess, like, just waste it, or you can put it in furnaces, but if you don't have things to smelt, those things are kind of a waste too, and also they take a long time to do. So that's why I figured, why not take one of these blue empty sections of my map, which look a lot like each other. You can see there's one up there, for instance, and why not place something kind of impressive made out of lava in there? That way I have a genuine reason to drain the, you know, the Nether for the lava. That way, even if I do give up really early and decide it's the worst thing I start, then at least there's something good to come from it, and that's what I'm going to be doing in today's video. I'm going to be kind of making an experimental glass structure, which I'm going to be filling with lava. I'll probably start today, but realistically, I imagine it's going to be a stream thing. Am I allowed to admit that in the Let's Play? You know, we're going to try and get it done today, but I don't know how long Let's Plays last, and I also don't know how this is going to go, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and we can talk about my week back in the United Kingdom. How fun there, right? But yeah, first of all, we're going to grab ourselves some cobblestone, because I also had the clever idea, or maybe not clever. I don't know if I can call my own ideas clever, but you know what? I had the idea that I thought would be fun, of as well as using just glass, because obviously glass makes the most sense right here for a structure containing lava. You want people to see the lava, and you can't really make a structure from lava itself. But yeah, basically I figured, you know what'd be kind of fun, is if I had a bunch of furnaces which were the pathway to the thing, and then I filled those furnaces with sand and lava at the same time to make more glass. And I don't know, I like the idea. If you don't like it, then I don't like you. But you know what I do like? I do like the fact that, yeah, like I said, I'm back in the UK and I'm back playing Minecraft. It's always refreshing. One of the ideas I hear a lot that, like, again, it's I say this all the time, and for most people, this is a repeat, so sorry for wasting your precious time and energy. But for those of you who haven't heard it, I really think that anything you like, especially things you love, you need to take a break from every now and then. Human life is long, and breaks can be short in the, you know, grand scheme of things, but can make a huge difference in the short scale thing of things. You might think the most efficient way to do something you love is to do it every waking moment in every waking day, but I tend to find, especially tasks that require, like, brain functions, because, you know, we don't understand how our own brains work, right? Like, at least our muscles, you know, if you work this muscle out 6 days a week and then 1 day a week you let it grow, it'll be a bigger muscle in a year. If you try to do the same with your brain, who knows what will happen? Maybe you get dementia from that. Like, it's we really have such a limited understanding of how the brain works, so all we can do right now is work on the results we can get from what we can do right there. And yeah, as a result of those, the things I take from that. Also, that was a weird visual glitch we saw on screen right there. Just to clarify, that was in-game. That wasn't a a capture error or anything like that. But yeah, I realized because of that, one of the most important things to do is, like, take breaks, because not only do you get a break from, even if you don't think it's, like, important to have a break, because, like, you know, I like the thing I'm doing, it's always important to have a break anyway, because then when you get back to it, you're like, oh, I want to do this, this, this. The new level of thinking is really important, because the truth is, a lot of people... actually, I've had this idea hit upon a lot by the internet. Also, let's find a nice round numerical value for the starting point of this. I guess the world ends at 432, so we'll have it start at 382, 50 blocks away as the origin. That sounds about right. Oh, wait. We'll make it 64 blocks away. So 50 blocks away would be 382, away from 432, the edge of my world from 360 days. And then we take away another 14 blocks, taking us to 368. And then that can be the kind of center, and that way it'll center within one of the maps, I think. Yeah, that's the plan. It's a genius plan. It's a very fun, very good plan. But yeah, something I hear a lot of people hit on a lot. They use it mostly as like a, you know, I guess a negative thing is like, oh yeah, no one can work 100 million times harder than you. You know, talking about the Jeff Bezoses of the world or whatever else. But the thing I take from that is like, yeah, that is 100% true, because there is a certain level, and that level is surprisingly low in the modern you know, world and economy, where we're not all farmers working on fields. Like, you know, in the modern world where people do fairly complex tasks, the thing that actually defines... also, I guess I'm going to have to waste something. I guess I'll just have the... Wait, okay, we'll just swim this way, try and stay at 368, and then find a good position on the Z-axis to settle down. But, yeah, basically, in the modern world, the thing that the world values... Because, historically speaking, the thing that you are important as a body. Like, you dig a trench, you dig a ditch, you farm some potatoes or something. But in the modern day and age... Also, 512 is the edge of one of the maps. So you want to go a little past that. Let's say, like, over to here. This seems a little far away. Maybe we want to be before 512. Like, 512 should be the kind of edge on one side. So, therefore, we want to kind of start over at least 20 blocks before 512. Let's just say 30. 482. This is precisely mathematically done to very imprecise calculations, and I hope that works out for me. So, the middle of this, we're going to have some glass for now, just so we can... mark it quite clearly, and we're gonna have like a big circle coming off that. Or maybe, wait, actually, I've got a better idea. Let's have our glass going up to the surface here, just because, one, it's always fun to see the way light works through glass, and it lights up the ocean, and two, because, yeah, I had an idea for this, that we could make kind of like a building that goes out and then goes in and then goes out again. Kind of like a hourglass or whatever, but a Minecraft hourglass. Like, it's going to be slightly curved but slightly square. And the plan is to fill that with lava. And then when we take lava, when we need lava for various projects, we can take it from that and it'll be like the hourglass is draining. I think it's a genius idea. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. But yeah, in the modern world, like, the thing that the world values from you is what ideas and etc. you can come up with, and that creates a real hassle. That creates a real, like, you know, challenge for us as a society, because we have to then say, like, well, what about people who aren't as good as, like, historically speaking, again, if you were super able to do something physically with a little bit of that was what ruled. But now it's like, if you can come up with the ideas that make, you know, things work, that is the new thing that is valued, and that is why, you know, you can have an idea that is 100,000 times better than the existing system. You know, like, ideas can be levels of magnitudes different that, you know, like physical, you know, you can't be 100 times better at someone at lifting weights. Like, even if you take a child from a burn ward, let's just say, you know, someone who is on I was gonna say death row, but probably children don't go there, as best I know. But, like, also we need to round this out a little bit. It's a bit too square. But, yeah, even if you take, like, you know, a ridiculously one-sided example, like, oh yeah, it's a four-year-old child and it's the world's strongest man, the difference between them is not even going to be, you know, 100 times or 1,000 times in terms of what they can lift, in terms of how strong they are, how physically they are, because humans don't get that different in terms of that, but we do get hugely different in terms of how, like, again, how the internals of your brains work. Again, ideas can be huge amounts different, or at least, again, in the current economic system, that's how it works. And I think that's just such an interesting thing that we're going to have to deal with as a society. No one is trying to, of course, because that's not what humans do. Humans instead rail against abstract ideas that sound simple, but it's something that I'm fascinated by, and I wanted to mention it. I didn't actually want to mention it. I was just on a tangent while talking about something else. But what I do want to mention is the fact that I've got white particles coming off me. I did get a bad omen during, I think, like, one of the last things I did while I was in America was I was playing and I killed a pillager. It might have been in last week's Let's Play, actually. And as a result, now I've got this effect on me. In the next 76 minutes, I'll deal with it. But for now, we're going to not. That's my current plan. For now, we're going to go to the Nether, and we're going to start taking some lava buckets with us. Actually, we need to probably make some buckets before we go do that. So let's go to the Nether, let's get some buckets, and let's see how this one goes. It would have been really smart for me to put this near a Nether portal. In fact, that was, like, one of the big plans. But you know what? I'd rather have a part of my world have a little monument for now. If we do drain more of the Nether, we can, of course, work out another place to put it all. But for now, it's just like it's like a starter to the idea of draining the Nether. If I like this project, then I can expand it. And I think that's something I'm trying to, like, learn and work from. Like, in this world, you can see a trillion unfinished projects. The reason I never get bored of Minecraft is because I'm clearly never... Oh, we didn't... Wanted to get some iron buckets first. The reason, I guess, like, you know, we work on a billion different things. I'm always thinking about something else to work on. A lot of people, like, if you're focusing on one project at a time, if you get bored of that project, you could argue you're bored of Minecraft, whereas to me it's just like, well, start a new one. You know that big dome that I haven't finished for literally 4 years? I'm gonna pretend it doesn't exist, and you know, in 5 years' time, check back with me, see how well that goes. I even made like a big commitment, like publicly, like, yeah, here are the projects I'm gonna finish this year. Didn't work. Didn't change the the outcome on that one, it seems, because yeah, you know, that's just how bad my skills are on this level, it seems. So yeah, we're gonna only grab about 7 buckets of lava so far, but again, it's just to show you how the basic system works. Later on, we really will sort out the inventory and we can do more of it. In fact, right now, just to spare another slot, we'll make some fireworks, put the excess fireworks in here, and then let's go over to the Nether and let's do this. And let's also talk about, you know, because what I've been up to this past week has been just being a jet-lagged mess. I think I mentioned this before, I don't want to like go too deep into it, but one of the cool benefits of living, I would say, really far west, like I guess the United States is traveling east is the worst form of travel because you gain time, but it means your sleep is all messed up compared to local. Whereas when you travel west, so when I travel to America, it's really, really, really easy. All I have to do is stay up a few extra hours, and you know, at least in the modern age, it's really easy to stay up, I find, for like 2-3 hours. But if you go the other way, you either have to sleep 8 hours early, or you have to stay up, like, again, 16 hours extra, something like that, for a full extra day. It messes with your body just missing a day of sleep like that. And yeah, so I've been just a mess. The cool thing about what I do for a living is, of course, I can... Have those lava towers always been there? I feel like they might not have been. But yeah, one of the things I'm kind of appreciative of is... Oh, how did I get lit on fire? I genuinely do not know. But yeah, so I as a result of that, I've just been like kind of a mess all over the place. My body is not a... My body thinks I'm in America, but I mean, my mind thinks I'm in America, but my body... Wait, I guess it'd be my mind knows I'm in the UK, but my body... You know, my body and my mind disagree. I don't know in which way that they disagree, but I know there is a disagreement happening there, and that disagreement leads to me being on the front lines. But yeah, no, it's actually been like the least bad because I expect it now. There's this thing about like expected pain, where like when you expect something's gonna happen, I feel like you get much better at dealing with it. Like I used to have this problem of just taking midday naps and thinking it'll only be 20 minutes, and then 3 hours later it's like there are so many things I was meant to do that I missed because of this nap, or you know, like there's a bunch of things that I've done that were probably poorly advised with hindsight in mind. And the interesting thing about the thing I'd say I learned from them as a whole is the fact that like when you know the outcome, even if you know a bad outcome's coming, either one, you choose not to do the thing so often, and when you do choose to do the thing, you're like, but I know something terrible is going to happen. The first time when you do something and like it just sucks, it just feels awful because you're like, I didn't expect this, I didn't anticipate this at all. This is just the worst thing. But when you know it's coming, you're like, oh yeah, well, you know, I knew what I was getting myself into. You're bracing yourself for it, I guess is an easy way to describe that one. And so yeah, I kind of braced myself for what would happen this time, and therefore it was kind of better, and that's nice. But anyway, so what have I been up to in the past week? Mostly just making videos that I want. Like again, while I was gone, there's just been a bunch of videos in my mind, getting through those and like making them, getting that like I guess you could call it like a creative itch. Like there's a part of me that's just like you gotta make some videos, you gotta scratch the itch, and my brain's like, you know what, do you need to? And it's like, yeah, actually, I 100% do need to. Also, I've realized now I need a place to, I guess I'll use Netherrack, to make my scaffolding off if I want to, like, be able to get back onto and build up this. I could use that off fireworks, but for now, we'll use scaffolding. Probably needs to be further out than this, but we'll deal with that issue when we get to it, like with every issue in this Let's Play world. So yeah, one of the things I've been thinking about a lot is something someone said this week that stuck with me. And I don't know why. I was thinking about it literally a week. Is like Japanese kamikaze pilots really must have believed in what they were saying what the Imperial Japan told them. You know, if you don't know, kamikaze pilots are people who are pilots who were just like told to die, like because it wasn't even like an amazingly cheap thing. The history reasons behind kamikaze was like specific missions where they would use the plane as a bomb, and the suicide pilots, I guess you call it, like they used the plane as a bomb, and they just drove straight into the ground, and that was like a way to conduct certain attack missions against certain targets. And basically they were just like, you are going to die, but you will serve you know, the empire in death. Like you have one of the greatest honors, dying for your country, and a lot of Japanese young men especially died and did this. And this is what I meant when I said earlier, accidentally, wow, tying this into that, but this is what I meant when I said earlier, like, oh yeah, it used to be that you were valued as a body. Back then, it didn't matter how good or bad you were of ideas. If you were willing to die for the emperor, then boy, do we have a job for you, driving planes into, American ships. But, yeah, so the interesting thing about them, though, is, like, any one of these kamikaze pilots could have chosen to just land in another country, just land in somewhere where it's safe and, be fine. But none of them chose to. Again, we don't have a single record of a kamikaze pilot, like, taking off and being like, wait, I'm gonna die. All the things I love, it's gonna be all over. No, instead what happened is a bunch of these, these dudes just went off. They died with their ships in horrific fiery crashes. A lot of them died, not slowly either, by the way, keeping that in mind. And the reason that's so interesting to me is because despite the choice they could have had to live, it's not like they were clearly just, oh yeah, awkwardly strung along for the ride. They chose to die because they believed in this thing that much. And it makes you think about, like, man, imagine believing in something so much you die for it. It just seems like it's a novel concept to me that I can't think of anything that I'd be willing to die for. I always hear about the phrase of, like, oh yeah, people died for your right to vote, or whatever people say, things along those lines. And then I always think in response to that, like, no, they didn't. I don't think most soldiers, people died and wanted, for my country. I don't think they were dying thinking, you know what, there's this guy in about 70 years, he's going to be making Minecraft videos, and you know what, he's going to want to vote, and if I don't die right now in this trench pointlessly in this endless meat grinder of a war, if I don't enlist and, sacrifice my life, I don't know if this IVX Toycat fella is going to be able to vote. Like, I think voting is really important. I think you should do it, especially, you live in a country where there's probably an election this year. Statistically speaking, according to my YouTube demographics, if you're of voting age, you should vote. Even if you don't like the candidates, learn, which, look into it. Even if you just want to spoil your ballot paper, voting is fun. It's like a thing that makes you feel good, doing your civic duty or whatever. But the reason that I don't want to talk about why you should vote or why you shouldn't. That's not what the Let's Play's here for. But what I do want to say is, like, I don't think people died for my right to vote. I think people died because they were kind of tricked by a greater system. But yeah, the kamikaze thing kind of goes in direct contrary to that, right? Also, by the way, just if the only reason you're gonna vote is because someone died for your right to vote, which again I don't think they did, but let's say they died thinking like, man, in the 2020s. We need to have those young people voting. If I wouldn't die if I thought that those young people wouldn't wouldn't vote. If they don't vote, then I guess I'm gonna have to go ahead and just let the Nazis win or whatever. But the thing I was thinking about is, like, if that's so true, why don't we respect the dead Imperial Japanese people's wishes? Like, those kamikaze pilots died fiery, vicious deaths, for what they believed in, which was, again, the questionable policies of Imperial Japan. Like, why don't we respect their wishes? Why don't we say, yeah, actually, people died for, your right to, invade Japan's right to invade all of Central Asia. I can't believe you're just going to deny that from them, man. That's messed up. People died. You can see the logic, right? It's not particularly solid or anything really, but It does. Besides just being silly like that, it makes me, again, I think you should vote for reason. I think you should vote because it feels good. I think you should vote because it's important for your country. I think the historical argument for why you should vote is a dumb one. I think if you're swayed by it, then sure, probably good for our society, but also doesn't make any sense. But then the other thing that I was thinking about, because the more and more I thought about the fact that we don't respect all dead people's wishes equally. Like, if I die saying, like, oh, I am going to die because I think there are too many. I don't know, let's just bring it back to Japanese people. None of them watch my videos anyway, so not that Japanese people would be offended. They'd get this joke. It's gonna be exclusively non-Japanese people that are offended what I'm about to say. Like, if I didn't like Japanese people, which obviously isn't true because I've been to Japan, but if I was like, I don't like those Japs. Let's Yeah, I think we should put them in a, I don't know, like a camp or something. If I put that in my like suicide note, it doesn't mean for the record that we should like, oh, he died for the, you know, for the internment of Japanese people. No, 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 no. That doesn't mean we do it. We don't respect your wishes just because you're dead. And I think I think it's sometimes convenient to use a dead person's wishes as an excuse, but it doesn't mean it's the reason in and of itself, right? At least I think it's kind of dumb. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. But, so yeah, the other thing I was thinking about is, like, because as I thought about this kamikaze thing a few times, I wrote it down because I was like, oh yeah, that's something, a thing. But then I thought about some more and I was like, you know what? Kamikaze pilots couldn't have landed in a foreign country and started a new life. They couldn't have just, you know, I don't think they really did believe as fully as we're, like, imagining in this tale. And the reason behind that is because, one, foreign countries at the time were all at war. If they see a Japanese fighter plane coming, probably gonna shoot it down. There's no such thing as just like, can I land at your airport, please, foreign country? I am a Japanese fighter, but I swear I'm here innocently because I want to abandon my country. That's not really an option you have in wartime, at least I find. It's not an option you really have in wartime. It's kind of, again, call me crazy if you must, but I tend to find most countries are quite prone to the opposite logic, and they're like, you know what? I don't think we want to, you know, I think we're going to shoot down this fellow with his wacky, brave visions of... Also, I think I've done this slightly wrong. Yeah, I've somehow... I don't know what I've done here, but, like, by having this extend over the... Oh, no, actually, it works, it works. And then we have 3 blocks here, and we do 3 blocks. It's really weird making, like, circles. Like, it's one of the things... I love the concept of making circle-y things in Minecraft and spheres. It's kind of like the Death Star, actually. This is more related to that than I realized. But the practice is always just so rough. But, so yeah, the thing about that is like, oh yeah, no, they couldn't have started a new life. Once you got in that plane, you were like committed, right? Fully committed. Like there were not many options for you that involved not... Also, I think I've made mistakes now on all the other ones. Wait, yeah, we have it different on each side. Why is there no block? Oh, because we're going to remove these blocks, I think. Yeah, there we go. So it's like 3 and then 1 and then a gap. So then 3 and then... What have I done so horribly wrong right here? And then 1 and then a gap. See, I just said I liked the idea, but the practice always messed me up. And then just after I said that, the practice did in fact mess me up. But so yeah, I think that it wasn't actually possible for them. I think what it was is it comes down to the idea that if you, like, again, when you're forced to say you believe in something, when, you know, like all of your comrades say they believe in something too, and you believe in them, like some people who died, some of the Japanese people, the kamikaze pilots, died thinking like, yeah, we're gonna, you know, Japan's gonna go so strongly, and you can tell by the people, you know, again, like the Japanese dude who like thought World War II was going on for an extra 30 years and like didn't surrender. He kept killing troops in somewhere in the one of the Asian islands. But the interesting thing about also we are running dangerously close to our tower right here. But the interesting thing about the story as a whole is the fact that it kind of proves that, like, oh yeah, a lot of people once they took off probably were just like, oh, what do I do now? I can't return. The shame that I'll have on me. I've said I was going to. I said I was willing to die. And I believed it in the moment, like in the moment they got me real good. But now I don't think I want to die. I think you know I wanna be alive. I think that'd be a much better solution right there. But guess what? That's not a choice anymore. You gave up that right to have that decision, and now what's happening to you? You're gonna die for some things you believe in. Because again, like the shame of coming back. Shame is a really strong human emotion. Like if you've committed to doing something, it's very hard to uncommit to doing something, I tend to find. And also I hope I'm doing this right. I really don't know for sure. But yeah, so shame is a powerful emotion. Shame is a thing that can get humans to do a lot of things, even things. Also, I think this is gonna be like the widest layer it goes out to, because we're a solid what, like 71 minus. We're like 8 blocks up, so this is gonna be 32 blocks high if we stop here, which is actually already quite high for the last structure. But yeah, the idea that like once you've started something, you're kind of committed to it. I guess like what I'm trying to say right here is like awkwardly, you know, like committing to things because like you don't want to admit you stopped something is like a surprisingly big force behind so many of the things like in history, I imagine. And I don't know if that's like beautiful or like depressing. I really, I can never make up my mind as like, oh yeah, that's cool, that's awful. Because you know, a lot of people died thinking like, man, I wish I hadn't committed to ending my life to further the cause of the military, which isn't gonna remember my name, etc., etc., etc. You know, I wish I'd been one of the peaceful guys. I bet the Allies don't make their guys, you know, die for the greater good and, you know, dumb stuff like that. You know, or maybe it's not. Again, it's hard to be certain. We're talking about historical what-ifs, you know, to some extent, I guess, here. But, okay, so let's do this one again. Then let's have 3 blocks there, and then 3 blocks there. And now we're going to try and repeat the exact same structure we had going upwards, but downwards, and that should be perfectly easy with no mistakes to be made here whatsoever. But so the thing about it to me, this is like really it's interesting how like certain Minecraft tasks are like so draining on your psyche. The interesting thing to me about that is that like if you're going to do something bad, try, you know, there's so many tips we have in life for like how to commit to something. You know how I was just saying earlier, like, oh yeah, if you're working on something that requires your brain, take breaks from it. It actually will help you. You know, as much as I find like Nintendo's, like make sure you take 10-minute breaks every half an hour. A little adorable. You know, I think you would enjoy your video games more if you're like, okay, just gonna take a break real quick. I know I'm playing games all day today, but let's eat some food. Let's take care of myself and stuff like that. I feel like, you know, breaks really important. And like, there's a lot of other advice. Like, if you tell people about your goals, you're more likely to achieve them. I think when you're doing harmful things for yourself, follow all this advice but in reverse. Like, look up self-help advice and do it in reverse for the, you know, your suicidal ideations or whatever. Like, you know what? Do you want to kill yourself? Don't write a suicide note because that's how you stick to it. Like one of the things I always thought it was stupid, but like I think you know, I just to share a thing here, I have considered and attempted. I was gonna be like, you know, I have committed suicide a few times, but like I did attempt a thing involving my own death once, with a deliberate intention, and I guess we'll just like dig a hole here, and that could be our way out for now. And I think like there was always a moment in all of them where your body's just like, no, don't, like, you don't want to be dead, you want to be alive, man. Or even if you didn't want to be alive, it's like, nope, we're gonna stop you anyway. Like the more you get in dangerous situations, the more your body kind of tries to bring you back. And the thing, like, I guess the most valuable lesson is like, don't tell people you're gonna do it, because then you're gonna be like, oh man, I can't face the shame of that. And also, like, I think suicide notes and how they're like always romanticized in movies must have killed hundreds of people. I think hundreds of people who thought like, oh, I'm about to kill myself, better write a note, you know. I think once you have the note written, and like, especially if you put it somewhere you can't easily get back to, like if you go to kill yourself on like the Brooklyn Bridge or something. Is that a bridge people kill themselves off? I think the Golden Gate is, because every time I go to when I went to the Golden Gate Bridge when I was in San Francisco, I saw like lots of like crisis hotline signs and like reminding you that like, you know what, you don't die immediately, you die pretty slowly, stuff like that. Also, I'm going to look at this from a distance and just make sure that it actually looks how I intend. Oh man, that was some lag. I'm not sure if it does, but yeah, I feel like it's gonna look like a squarey hourglass. It's not. It's gonna look more like a crystal than an hourglass, though. Maybe we need like a certain angle on it. Maybe it'll look better when we have the lava inside, or maybe it literally just needs to be bigger. I mean, we can always work on it. Like if it's not good, it's just in the middle of an ocean, like easy to avoid. And I think it will get better as we go up to the center. Maybe. We'll see. Again, it's the beautiful thing about Minecraft is you can destroy things you don't like. But yeah, one of the so like you kind of like, you know, your body kind of stops you, and I imagine like the more will you have, the more you could stop your body stopping you, which is a bad thing overall. You don't want to stop your body when it's trying to make you be alive, because you know what, you should be alive. You watching this video, you should be alive, if only to watch Toy Cat videos to get me that extra ad revenue. You know, I definitely think your life very important to the world, and again, if not to the world, then at the very least to the bottom line of the... I'm making a joke, but someone actually did say once, like, you know what? I was having the worst day, I was feeling suicidal. But then you remind me that, like, yeah, I guess I am necessary for ad revenue. And then I started watching Toy Cat videos all the way. And it was probably sarcastic, but I felt like, you know what? I'm glad my jokes get through to someone. But yeah, you know, don't kill yourself. At least, you know, wait till the video's over, because I really need that watch time. Like, you know, like, put the rope away for now. You can get it back out later, don't worry. But, like, for now, just, like, put it away. And then later, when, you know, when the video's over, and when the ad at the end of the video, because these videos do have ads at the end, because they're over 10 minutes. Make sure then, you know, you can get back to the idea, you know, if you have to, sure. But, like, make sure you wait till that. That's my advice for suicidal people. Hope it helps, friends. But, okay, so the next layer, it's really, like, messy for me to follow this precisely, but I'm going to try my best. There is a block there, and then, because we have to just, like, undo all the things we just did. So actually it makes sense to, like, go down there and look at what the pattern is. So it's, like, 3, and then it's, like, 2 1s. It's, like, 3 1s, and then another 3. And then 3 1s, then another 3. That's actually really easy to follow. So let's go to sleep, and let's do this some more. But, so yeah, the thing that's been in my mind a lot has been the idea of, like, committing something. I think, like, this is why people hate the show. Again, I've never watched it. It probably is a great show. It's called, like, 13 Reasons Why, right? It's a whole show about someone who killed themselves and tapes they leave behind. And, like, it's romanticizing the idea of, like, leaving something behind knowing you're going to die. Especially, like, teenage suicide. I think the problem with teenage suicide is how dumb the reasons for it all are. Like, you know what? If you're, like, 70 and you've got a chronic disease and everyone you know and love is gone and dead, that's a thing we should focus on too. But, like, you know, at least you can, a part of you can, like, emphasize that and be like, man, you have lived a full life. You're just choosing the terms on which it ends. But if it's like, oh yeah, I feel like, you know, things don't feel good right now. It's like, man, you're still in the phases where everything can change. You can still become an astronaut if you're, like, below the age of 17. You know, either you can vote, and you should, or you can become an astronaut. One of those two things. Actually, can anyone become an astronaut? I feel like you need to withstand certain G-forces. But, like, you don't know your G-forces you can withstand. You know, if you do, and you can't become an astronaut, sure, you can kill... I don't know what this video is. I don't know what my advice is here is meant to be. But yeah, it's, it was something I thought about a lot. And maybe you do too. Or maybe you just wonder what this Toy Cat man even is. Why he watches ramblings on the internet. And if so, how about I talk about something else that was... It's something, I guess, that's just eternally codified into all of us, right? The concept that, like, so maybe it's not to everyone, but, like, for me at least, when I was a kid, I used to love sitting at the back of the bus. It was the cool place on the bus. The front of the bus was lame. You want to sit near the back, above the wheels, you know, like, you had a little seat for your seat? Seat for your feet. Yeah, seat for your feet. A little, you know, like a thing right there. I loved sitting at the back, whereas when I went on the bus with my grandma, she always went in the front, because she was a lame old person. That's why. That was what was wrong with her. And, yeah, the interesting thing... Okay, so the next row below that one is 3, and then 2. Oh, so it's like 3 in the front here, and then it's just 2 ones going across. But, as I kind of grew older, I realized that, like, you know what? The back of the bus is, like, objectively worse. And the reason it's objectively worse is because you get off and on slow. It takes, like, 10 seconds to walk to the back of the bus, and then you have to walk 10 seconds back to the front again. And, like, 10 seconds isn't a big deal, don't get me wrong. But, like, it's better to not waste 10 seconds of your life than it is to do so. But, yeah, no, like, there was this kind of... there was this system, at least in the buses where I grew up, where, like, oh, yeah, old people at the front, young people at the back. And, again, young people felt like they were getting cool seats. Old people felt like they were getting... You know, old people got the seats they needed for mobility reasons. And it was an interesting system that, like, divided up the type of seats that were on the bus without anyone needing to do anything, right? It was like, I sit on the seats in the buses that I want. They sit in the buses they want. And also, it's the most efficient way to divide the resources as to who sits where. Okay, so the next one is another 3, is that? Yeah, it's 3, 1, 3. You know, this is a pretty basic formula. I can see why it looks so square. Like, it only really got curvy towards the edges. But again, the proof will be in the pudding, I believe, is the phrase. But yeah, so basically, as this like basic system is something that came to mind again when I was in San Francisco. So I'm sure this isn't true for most of the US, but because, you know, like it's a very particular demographic in San Francisco. But the front half of the buses, I'd say the front 60% of buses in San Francisco had signs being like for disabled and old people. Obviously, like you could sit there if there were no disabled and old people. But like there were signs like that being like these seats are there for that. You know, there were different colors of seats. They had like signs on them saying this, and like it was very different types of seating than the seating at the back of the bus, which is like what you or I, if you live anywhere that isn't San Francisco, or maybe it's big enough parts of America too. I really don't know. But like it had like seating that was like clearly intended for people like that, and then it was like, oh yeah, back of the bus, there's everyone else. And ignoring the fact that like the majority of young people in San Francisco are you know, of a ethnic, you know, like you can make some awful comparison if you wanted to and be like, really, you're telling all the, you know, the young Asians in San Francisco to sit at the back of the bus. You could make that analogy if you wanted to, but it's not the point I want to make today, although, you know, my brilliant racial commentary will have to come in a future video, clearly. But, okay, so the next layer is like a diamond. It's just 8. Wait, is it 8? No, it's like 12. It's like, yeah, it's 2. It's just lots of individual ones. Easy enough to do. But the thing about the system that was so interesting to me is the fact that, like, it was just codifying into practice, you know, codifying into words, the system that already existed as far as I was concerned. You know, like, old people at the front, you know, people with limited mobility, I guess is the catch-all term, because disabled people aren't old. I mean, not always old. I guess it's probably a higher percentage of wheelchair-bound people who are old. Or maybe, actually, I don't know, like, maybe they live less on average. You know, if you are a person of disabled nature, let me know in the comments down below. Are you old? Actually, this is a Minecraft video where the audience tends to be like, you know, again, like the average age is on my channel is like, I don't know, 24 or something like that. I don't know. I feel like I just made that up because that's my age. But it's somewhat. I know the biggest demographic is like 18 to 24 on this channel. So like, obviously we're not gonna have many old, also wheelchair-bound people. I'm gonna look into it after this. But like, the fact that they codify into, you know, wording, the fact that something that was already true, you know, yeah, it was in, what's the difference here? Like, something that was de facto true became de jure true. Something that was true in you know, true, it was an unwritten system, became a written system. And something about that made it so much less friendly. Like, I didn't feel comfortable sitting on the front seats. Like, I would stand as opposed to sitting in them, even when there was no one there and likely no one to get on. Because, again, it felt wrong. It felt like it was an unfriendly space in that way. And it's the interesting thing where, like, the system where everyone just, you know, again, everyone just works on it how they are. Also, I think instead of having this, so we could go all the way to the top and make it perfectly like that. I think because it's an hourglass, we're going to have like 3 blocks up, or like 1 block to be that. Or maybe we should have like a 3 block high center. What does an hourglass look like? It's been forever, but we'll assume it's 1 block. And then we could start going out again on the other sides, which would be easy enough to do, just like, oh yeah, do the same thing here again, etc, etc. But before we do that, we're going to fill this bottom half with lava, which is going to be a thing we do in some form of live stream. But yeah, I want to finish my thought here. So yeah, taking something that everyone knows, like, that's why I sometimes think, like, it's better to have an unwritten set of rules that people are down to just, you know, not enforce, because, you know, enforce is a strong word, but like, just inform what people about. Like, if you just say, oh yeah, if you spot like a young dude, be like, oh yeah, sorry, you know, front of the bus is usually reserved for them. Like, give up your seat. When you explain a system, people don't know to people. They're like, oh, that's the case. There are some super rude people who'll be like, no, I don't want to, and probably later will adjust. And you know, even if they don't later adjust, it's like, well, you know, what power do you have to force them to do things they don't want to do? Okay, so now the next one is like 3 blocks. We'll just do that for now, just so we can come back to this later a lot easier. Although clearly I don't think I've done it correctly, because this doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, for now, let's go look at our big old thing. That does not look like an hourglass. I don't think it will look like an hourglass either. I feel like I've made a key oversight about how an hourglass looks. I think it definitely is meant to be wider. Like the width to height ratio is way off. But again, when we fill it with lava, I feel like that's going to change. Like, if I just place a couple of sample blocks right here. Again, just sampling what's going on right here. So we're probably going to have to make like a floor of something down here. So let's be relatively careful. Let's go ahead. Let's place the glass block back here. And then let's place some lava down. Yeah, this is going to get dangerous fast. But let's see if we have, like, a few blocks of lava in there. Let's just do the 3 easiest ones that are most obvious for now. Well, you know what? Let's just have some lava going over there too. Sure, why not? Like, add some fuel to this fire. Let's see how it looks after that. Yeah, I am trapped in here. This is this was a poor design decision. So we'll make our new way out of here. Over here, I guess. Easy enough to do. But yeah, so let's give it a look now. If it still looks awful, then, you know, mission failed. We'll get them next time. I'd say it looks a little better. Like, the brightness of it, especially compared to the rain, is something. I think entirely filled, it looked like something. Not like an hourglass, but again, sometimes there's no such thing as wrongdoing. There's just happy little accidents. Anyway, though, with this video coming to a close, I want to point out before the end here, just because, like, it's something I actually believe in. Again, I'm not saying this out of obligation. A lot of people will just be like, well, I've got to make a super pro-suicide message. I think I made a joke about how you should kill yourself as long as you've watched the end ad here. So, this isn't me saying this for the sake of saying it. It's my actual belief here is, like, doing things that are good for you as a person are very good for society also. I think you should care about yourself, not as generic self-advice, but because when you care about yourself and when you make the steps to make yourself a better person, you can tend to make society a better person too. And that's why I recommend looking into, that's why I recommend the self-care stuff. But more seriously, that's why I recommend right now, right here, that there are lots of steps you can follow to make yourself work better for yourself. We don't know how the brain works, but we can learn how it does. And we can at least test on it and work out what the results are and learn from those results how to make it do things. And yeah, that's something that we should do for a lot of good reasons. When you want to do something bad, do it, if you do something bad for yourself or to other people, then, like, you know what, do it in the laziest way possible. Whereas when you want to do good for yourself or, again, good for other people, something you know is good, try and apply the best practice to it. Again, take regular breaks and also remind other people about it so that they stick to it. And yeah, if you do that, then you'll be a better contribution to the world. Let me know what you think about this hourglass. It looks kind of like a potion bottle. Oh, that's what I was doing this whole time. It was a potion bottle filled with lava. It's a lava potion. Changed my mind, internet. I made the joke about the hourglass because time's running out for people who intend to kill themselves. At least time's running out if you enjoyed this Let's Play. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. You can like it if you liked it, share if you really liked it. Make sure to watch that end ad, especially if you're having a bad day. And I'm just kidding. The thing I would actually recommend is just like, hey, you know what? I hope things go well for you. And if they do, maybe you'll see me in the live stream where we fill this with lava because, again, we got a whole fun thing planned right there. So yeah, thank you very much for watching because I'll see you all next time. Goodbye. This is the worst way to fly. Oh, that rhymes. Goodbye. This is the worst way to fly. Should be the Ryanair slogan, am I right? Haha. Funny. High quality humor.